All right. Hello, everyone. Today we're presenting Grace M. Cho's article titled Kimchi Blues, and this is presented by Group 2. Next slide. So the article starts out by talking about Grace's mother and how she grew up during Japanese colonialism and became a refugee once the Korean War broke out at 9 years old. And it also details the result of that war, where 9 million civilians were dead and another 2 million were missing, including the mother's brother. And many survivors, as a result of that, spent their whole lives questioning and looking for signs of life. And it also resulted in kids during that time detailing and recalling hiding under corpses, watching people around them being dismembered by bombs and other atrocities. And the mother, because of that, rarely spoke of war and only spoke of one story only. And that is being the time she was separated from family, got lost, but made her way to her house and survived off of one jar of buried kimchi and leftover rice for 3 seasons. Next slide. And it also details her idealization of America, where American military bases were the best hope for survival during that time because they were given gifts of food, clothing, and offered work opportunities. And these bases and also America and their wealth were stunning compared to the poverty of the Korean post-war household. And images of the U.S. through film and media also help emphasize this. And this also resulted in the mother working as a bar hostess at a U.S. Navy base, which was a line of work that was branded as these women being whores. And Korean society also saw her as crazy and being infected with the longing for America's sickness.
In these next two slides, the main topic is homesickness and isolation. The mother spent early days in the U.S. Homesick and crying. Moved to mainly white city. Korean women were marrying American men. This was a little controversial though, and it was considered taboo. And the saying "Yankee wife" was created. The mother tried her best to speak in English and mastered American dishes for events. Next slide. Some other experiences military wives had were to cook / reproduce American food. This started to cause some people to not eat, and they had to eat their own traditional food in secret. Some hosted underground meetings to help these women, and they would eat Korean food, share stories, and to them this felt like home again. Next slide. After war, many children went to orphanages. As kids were getting adopted, the schools weren't helping them with this transition. Overall, this group of people were starting to feel isolated and left behind. So one of the main ways to reconnect was by having cookout events so people could have a meal together. The mother sent Grace to college with kimchi. Quote, "For my mother, this elemental meal of rice and kimchi represented survival," end quote.
From Hollywood to sports to civil rights, Korean Americans have had a completely different nationality. 1924 set quotas on immigration from different and pretty much excluded all of Asia and Africa. During this time, Korean and Asian immigration took a nosedive, but then war changed everything. In 1950, the Korean War started. This was also called the Forgotten War in the US. Forgotten in part because it was overshadowed by big wars like World War II and the Vietnam War. But it certainly wasn't forgotten by Koreans. The second wave of Korean immigration is directly tied to this war. Like any war, the history is complicated, but it was basically fought between the US-backed forces in the south and the Communist China-backed forces in the north. The war resulted in the peninsula being divided into today's North and South Koreas. It also introduced the immigration of Korean war brides to America. They're women who marry American soldiers during a time of active service. The War Brides Act, which first came about during World War II, allowed these servicemen to bring their foreign wives, children, and adopted children to America. This meant that they were able to bypass that 1924 quota system I mentioned earlier, the one that limited immigration from Asia and Africa. The story of Cho Soo Lee, a Korean American civil rights icon, also intersects with this history.
I was born out of wedlock during the Korean War, and sadly for my mother, she was disinherited from her family, so she married an American soldier and left for America.
Over a few decades, nearly 100,000 Korean war brides came to the US, as well as over 300,000 Korean adoptees. But even with the War Brides Act, the number of Korean immigrants didn't change significantly until the immigration quota was finally lifted.
What do you think about when we hear the words Asian and Pacific Islander? What do you think about when we hear the words Asian and Pacific Islander? Crazy rich. Martial arts experts. Good at math. What we see in movies and TV shows are often based on stereotypes. Stereotypes are oversimplified images about a particular person or group. They are assumptions. Things we just assume to be true, without any proof. The problem with stereotypes is that they can be harmful or prevent us from truly understanding the people around us. Here are a few harmful stereotypes about Asians and Pacific Islanders. Number 1. All Asians and Pacific Islanders are foreigners or from somewhere else. Fact. While some Asians and Pacific Islanders were born outside of the US, there are many families that have lived here for over 200 years. Number 2. Asians don't speak English well. Have you ever gone up to an Asian person and asked them, "Do you speak English?" Number 3. All Asians and Pacific Islanders are the same. Fact. Just like other racial and ethnic groups, Asians and Pacific Islanders are incredibly diverse. There are over 50 different ethnic groups. Number 4. All Asians are smart and rich. Sometimes this is called the model minority myth. It's the belief that Asians are a minority group that other groups should try to be more similar to. You might be thinking to yourself why that is so bad. The problem with these good stereotypes is that while they may be true for some people, they aren't true for all people. And they make it harder for those who are struggling to get the help they need. Also, the model minority myth was specifically created to create conflict between Asians and other minority groups. These are just some of the stereotypes that you might have seen or heard. So, the next time you were watching...
Alright, that is all of our slides, and thank you for listening, everyone.